On the 5th of March 2007, Italian journalist Daniele Mastrogiacomo and 2 Afghan men he was working with were kidnapped by the Taliban in Helmand Province, southern Afghanistan. For 2 weeks, the 3 men were held as hostages until negotiations between their captors and the Afghan government resulted in an agreement being reached later in the month. This agreement would see the Italian journalist safely handed over in exchange for the release of 5 Taliban commanders being held by the government. However, for whatever reason, the agreement did not include Daniele's 2 Afghan colleagues, both of whom would sadly be killed in captivity. The failure to secure the release of the 2 Afghan men sparked widespread anger, with one article noting that Afghan President Hamid Karzai haplessly explained that he was pressured by the Italian government, which has 1,800 troops in Afghanistan, to make the exchange. Afghan government officials gave unconvincing explanations as to what had gone wrong, but the damage was done. To Afghans, it appeared that their own government cared more about an Italian than 2 of its own citizens. The prisoner exchange was carried out on the 19th of March, with Mastrogiacomo being flown back to Italy on the following day, whilst the 5 Taliban commanders returned to their lines and resumed combat operations. In the meantime, American intelligence used the prisoner swap to begin tracking the 5 commanders, in the hopes that they would be led to high-ranking Taliban officials. Of the 5, 1 was given particular focus: Mullah Mansour, the brother to Mullah Dadullah, who was the Taliban's highest-ranking military commander. For several weeks, the movements and phone conversations of Mansour were closely monitored, and, as was hoped, he led the Americans right to his brother, who was found hiding out in a compound close to the Afghan-Pakistani border near the town of Bahram Char. Following this identification, a ground reconnaissance of the compound was authorised to confirm the strength of the Taliban forces in the area, and in early May, a small British team drawn from Sea Squadron of the Special Boat Service deployed to Bahram Char in a couple of Supercat surveillance and reconnaissance vehicles. On arrival in the region, the S.B.S team reached a lay-up position in the vicinity of the target compound, where, as author Lee Neville details, the S.B.S conducted a close target reconnaissance of the compound, parking up in camouflaged hides and watching through long-range cameras. It appeared that there were around 20 insurgents protecting Dadullah. An airstrike was considered but decided against, as there was no guarantee Dadullah would be killed. Consequently, with an airstrike ruled out, a ground assault via helicopters was given approval, and on the 12th of May 2007, between 40 to 50 men of Sea Squadron, the S.B.S, loaded up onto 2 R.A.F. Chinook helicopters, most certainly belonging to 7 Squadron, and took off from an undisclosed location for Bahram Char. Accompanying this force were a couple of Apache helicopters, which were tasked with providing air support, whilst it is reported, but not confirmed, that a detachment of Afghan soldiers were also deployed to augment the S.B.S. Flying out across Helmand Province, the helicopter force arrived over the objective in the evening of the 12th of May, with the 2 Chinooks touching down on the designated landing zone, and thus enabling Sea Squadron to commence disembarkation. Almost immediately, however, Taliban small arms, RPG and machine gun fire began to be received, with 4 of the British soldiers being hit during the engagement. Fortunately though, none of their wounds proved to be fatal, and all 4 would eventually be evacuated from the operational area. Meanwhile, the rest of Sea Squadron were pressing on to the objective, and after a protracted firefight, they managed to overcome the bulk of the Taliban resistance and reach the outer perimeter of the compound, from where elements established a security cordon around the target, whilst an assault team moved forward and breached into the building itself. Once inside, the S.B.S team methodically cleared each room and hallway, a process that would see them locate and kill Mullah Dadullah with 2 shots to the chest and 1 to the head. With the primary target neutralised and with the compound in British hands, C Squadron conducted a thorough search of the building to gather anything deemed valuable for intelligence. On completion of this phase, the squadron re-embarked onto the Chinooks and extracted itself out from the region, thus bringing a successful end to the operation.